Hello, everybody. This is Pete Cospoon with Project Positive Change on the show Positive Vibes. Today, we're talking about health and body image with a special tribute to Louise Hay. So, right now, I have with me Catherine Erickson and Gwen Irwin. We're going to be talking about health and body issues and how we really help people with those things. Gwen makes peace. Tell us, Gwen, what you do. You told me you help people to release the cycle of chronic dieting. I know that's something I've really been through. I used to be 320 pounds, and I had gastric bypass. So, but I always tell people it's a tool, not a solution. And I know that I'm still a foodaholic, so I still deal with the idea of food and what's proper foods, and I'm constantly finding myself turning to food for consolation, for celebration, for just everything. So. Tell us about what you do and how that really helps people.
Well, my name's Gwen, as you said. I'm from Your Inner Joy, and I'm a visionary here at Project Positive Change. And I've really kind of made my focus around helping women to release the cycle of chronic dieting and make peace with food and with their body. And a lot of what you just said, I think, and I focus a little more with women because I can relate a little bit better, but men too. I mean, we struggle with these conditioned notions that we get from very young age about what we're supposed to look like, what size we're supposed to be. And then once you get into the cycle of dieting, which sounds like you probably did do that, then you develop all this fear around certain foods or what you're eating, whether we start putting these labels on food and on ourselves. And it just gets into this awful negative cycle, which I was in for most of my life, right out of elementary school into my mid-40s, and starting out as a skinny kid, but feeling like I didn't fit in and thinking, I need to lose some weight, and starting dieting and losing, gaining, till I was clinically obese in my early 40s and realized I had to quit dieting and stop all the negativity around my body and around food and really make peace there before I could find a way to release the weight. So it's that piece of it is so, I found a healthy eating style that works for me. I did a lot of juicing, green juicing, which really was helpful. And I tried to help people with that initially. And then I found that it was just, if you didn't already do that first piece of making peace with food and your body, nothing, trying to get someone to start juicing, it just felt like another diet. People were resistant, and even if they were getting good results, they wouldn't stick with it. So I finally realized that's the piece. And now that we're doing a tribute to Louise today, that was what she was all about, is loving yourself no matter what. And coming through, she had such a horrific childhood with a lot of abuse and really being made to feel worthless, and she was able to shift that and really just make peace with herself and then start to teach others to do that, which I so admire what she's done throughout her life. Just incredible.
It's amazing when you see people being able to take challenges like that from childhood. I'm sure all of us have our own story and be able to turn that around and bring it to help for others. I know for me, I was always able to lose weight through dieting, but I got tired of dieting, because I would get off the diet and I would gain more back than I had lost. Yeah. And that's why I thought, that gastric bypass was going to be the way I was going to do it. And it has been, but it's been people ask me, would you do it again? I'm not sure I would. Quite honest, to be quite honest with you, I'm not really quite sure. Catherine, talk about a little bit about, now you have a program called Heart Dancing, and it's really about helping people to reintroduce to themselves through mindfulness and meditation. We've talked quite a bit. And so how would you really correlate this to health and body image for yourself?
Well, Pete, if you're not at peace with yourself, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, it's going to show up in your life. That's just it. Your inner world is reflected in your outer world. So if you're constantly under stress, you're tense, you're anxious, you're frustrated, it's going to show up. And it's because of what is not being attended to inside. And so the heart dancing process is simple 3 steps. You connect with yourself through meditation, daily meditation practice. You communicate with yourself through journaling. And I found journaling to be an immensely helpful way to kind of shift through emotions, see what's true, see what's not true, and get to the heart of what is really facing me. And then the third step of the heart dancing process is getting back to our creative abilities. We're all natural creators. We create with our thoughts. So if you go inside and you meditate and reconnect and get to that worthy place inside yourself, your emotions start to align, and then what you create as it comes out into the world is you. It's authentic. It's real. So that's the heart dancing process. Louise Hay had her own process, which worked for her, and she taught so many hundreds of thousands of people. She had such a huge impact. And I don't know her life story as much as Gwen may, but I bet at some point she had to stop and say, I no longer want to be trapped in this conditioned thinking. I no longer want to believe that. What else can I believe? And that opens the door to this realization that you are whole, healed, and sound and loved, no matter what's happened to you, no matter what you've done. So that's kind of the core of my work. And I hope to talk a little bit more about meditation and mindfulness as we go forward.
I like that. And I like how you brought up that there's almost like this decision point. There's this point you have to come to, sometime in your journey where, you're changing the course of where you're headed. It's not like you just like stumble into mindfulness or meditation or health or anything like that.
Yeah, there's no magical solution. Everybody wants the magic pill. Give me the magic pill and my life will be great. Nah, we're not designed to live that way, and that's not how the universe is set up. So for me, the big piece was, first of all, looking at my life saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm better. I can do better. And the second thing for me that really, I tend to see things as emotion, or that's what I used to do. And, emotions are not reliable. There's always a thought behind the emotion. We sit there and, I feel this, so it must be true. Well, wait a minute. So when I learned that I was really creating my emotions from my thoughts. Well, wait a minute. How do I control my thoughts? You keep going back piece by piece and connecting it all. And then you realize that all of this is just energy. And the universe is dealing with energy and with vibration. And it doesn't have language, but when you get your own energy aligned, the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, when that's all aligned, then the universe will respond accordingly. So that's kind of my goal in myself, and then with my clients and students, is to show them how to get to that alignment so they can create what they're here to create.
I love that. So, so many people, when you start talking about that, they say, I don't know how to meditate, or I don't have that much time, or whatever. What kind of tools do you give people, or tell how to do that?
Well, again, it's expectations that people put on things. They put huge expectations on diets, right?
Right.
The books promise I'm going to lose 30 pounds in 30 days, or whatever it is. But you gotta realize that you do have expectations, and they may be true, they may be false. Who knows? But the thing is just to do it, despite and regardless of your expectations. So, set aside a time. I meditate in the morning, first thing out of bed. If it's 5 minutes, if it's 10 minutes, whatever, it doesn't matter. But it's that consistency that makes the difference, and that's when you'll start seeing changes. The other thing I tell people, there's a lot of different meditation and mindfulness techniques you can use during the day to manage that stressful response. And I can go into that in just a minute. But it's recognizing when your body has been triggered, when your emotions have been triggered, and then getting back to that calm, that peace, so you can respond instead of react. And that's what meditation and mindfulness can do for you.
Yes. Can I just add too, when you're talking about like you're having the thoughts first, and that's creating the emotion. And when it comes to food and our body image, I think that's where so many people, I hear it every day from people just making these offhanded comments about their bodies, or that they're too this or that, they're too heavy. But it comes from this place of like, it's a very fearful, and some people even get into like a hateful way of talking and thinking about themselves, and that's just it's so damaging, and it really doesn't allow you to shift into a place where you can focus on health and release the excess weight. And I think that's where people trip up with dieting and all these things, because they're still having all these negative thoughts about food as well, and about their body, and it just, that needs to shift.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked earlier about with Louise Hay. I mean, she has like this great list of like body affirmations. I might go through some of them, but what for me, one of the main things that she really did for me was the mirror work. I know there was a point in my life, I call it my dark night of the soul, where I had so violated my own integrity that I literally couldn't look at myself in the mirror. So starting to do that mirror work was an amazing way to really shift and turn. Of course, it was years before I actually went from that point to where I started doing the mirror work, because I just had to be able to actually look at myself in the mirror again. But it's just amazing how getting okay with the person in the mirror, and that even brings another thought to mind. It was a couple years ago that I found a picture of me when I was heavy. And that was a real moment. I had to really forgive that man for having, been so heavy. You know what I mean? It was a very odd moment of where I was angry at my former self. And I had to just kind of allow, I was doing the very best that I could at the time. I think that's one thing that Louise Hay really teaches, is that, allowing yourself to know that you were doing the very best you could with where you were at that point. Yeah. And so who here has worked with mirror work and had great results from it?
Yeah, I've done that. She has a book, it's 21 Days of Mirror Work, and it's every day standing in front of the mirror, saying the affirmation and really feeling it. And it's difficult to look yourself in the eye and say, I love you, or at least I found it very difficult in the beginning, but when you do it again consistently and repetitively every day, it starts to sink in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heartily recommend that book. It's a great book. And Louise has made such a great contribution to this whole work of people dropping those negative self-images and stepping into who they really are.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're really talking about establishing new habits.
Yes. I would say that. Habits that support this new growth, this inner growth. And one other thing about the mirror work I found fascinating, remember when I said your inner world is reflected in your outer world? Well, I found the reason why it was so hard to look in the mirror was because my inner world wasn't settled. It wasn't aligned. And you could have had that too, Pete, when you said that was your dark night of the soul.
Oh,
you're looking physically in the mirror at the reflection of yourself, but you're seeing what's going on in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds like that's what happened when you looked at the picture of your former self.
Right. Yeah, it's like getting a glimpse back into that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an interesting phenomena, and it's something that you can use to your advantage. Or disadvantage. It's all your choice. Yeah,
that's what I was talking about. Everybody with their struggles, how you can absolutely use it to your advantage later on if you want to. It's almost like I remember. I have a math degree, so I always think sort of in those terms. And there's an idea in physics where, like, if a baseball is coming at you and you hit it with a baseball bat, you're not stopping the ball. You're actually redirecting the force. So in other words, you can take the force of that or challenge that you had as a younger child or whatever, and you can just redirect it, and you get to take actually the energy of that and use it in a different way if you so choose. But it's like making that decision point, like we were talking about before. So Gwen, what kind of habits or what kind of things do you do to kind of get yourself out of the cycle of constantly dieting and just become like healthful eating, or whatever you would call it?
Well, I think first, and along the same vein of what we were talking about, you really have to get to the place where you accept yourself where you are starting from, where you are in the moment. Because when it comes to dieting, people are feeling like they're overweight and such non-acceptance of where they are, and feeling like they have to go on this diet to get rid of the weight. And it just sets up that cycle of, you like you said, Pete, you can lose some weight. I always did. And then I would gain back more. And then you're just stuck in that repetitive cycle. So it's really first of all, accepting where you are in the moment. And then, as we've been talking about, changing the thoughts and beliefs about yourself. And that really, that sounds, oh, that's simple. Just, start thinking different thoughts. But if you're used to being down on yourself every day from the minute you get up, and for most people when they're dieting, they get on the scale, and the number on the scale is, oh, it just sets up your day. It could be, oh, I've lost a pound, great, and my day's going to be good. But suppose you gain some weight, then it just sets you up for this, for having a terrible day because of what the scale says. So one thing I would recommend, and people are very resistant to this, but do not weigh yourself if you're trying to lose weight. You'll know if you've lost weight or gained weight by how your clothes fit. And the number on the scale, I mean, we have water weight. Our bodies are always in such a state of flux. It might show that you've gained weight, but really it's just water weight, whatever it is. And I just remember for me, it was a terrible way to start my day. So I would recommend not weighing yourself if you're interested in losing weight. And then you really have to come to that place where you accept where you are right now, instead of, because if you're pushing against it, like Catherine was saying, we're energetic beings. Your thoughts attract like vibration. And so if you're pushing against it all the time, you're not going to get the results that you want.
That's so, yeah, I love that. And something I was kind of thinking of, one thing you often face when you're dieting. I also wanted to say that's one thing my trainer always tells me. He says, don't look at your weight, look at how your clothes fit. Yeah. That's something he's always told me. But I was also thinking about how, like, when you are changing your body image, whether you're losing weight or whatever, and I know I've experienced, Gwen, perhaps you have too, as soon as you start losing weight, all of a sudden everybody's like, are you sick? You know what I mean? Or you're too thick.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. I mean,
yeah, I got all that too. You're too thin. I got to the place where, and yeah.
But the most shocking to me is, I'm in the LGBTQ community, and I went to the club one day and people thought I had HIV. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, these concepts that people have and these labels that people put on each other, I think it's part of, they almost have like this egoic structure of what you are and who you are. And when you change that this settles them, you know what I mean? And they don't know who they are anymore because you've changed.
Yes. I did come across, and I wrote about that in my book as well, because when I first lost the weight, as I said, I was doing a lot of juicing. And it really worked for me. I had health issues, I had stomach problems, I had skin problems, and it was clearing that up. It made me feel good, and I liked doing it. And I was also running a lot. So I did become quite thin. But I felt great, and I started getting the comments too. Or did you mean to lose? Are you, is something wrong? You're too. Even from people that were the same size as I was, telling me I was too.
Exactly.
It's kind of like you do shake up other people's worlds when you change, and sometimes that can make it difficult to change. And it's got to. You have to kind of stay steadfast in keeping your thoughts on track, because even I've been talking about this quite a lot lately. I wrote a book about my experience called The Joy of Eating, and publishing it and then now promoting it, I really started struggling with a lot of my old thoughts about diet and what I should look like in order to promote this book. I haven't been running as much as I was, so you always shift in what you're doing. But it was so interesting to have all those thoughts start creeping back in and having to come kind of full circle. And that's when it really hit me that's what I need to try to help people focus on, is shifting those negative thoughts and beliefs. Not so much, you'll find the right way of eating when you're aligned, like Catherine said.
And do you find that you have to sort of change your circle of influence? Like your friends and family, the people, the places you go, and the things you do. And
it was interesting when I first quit dieting, and I didn't change my circle of friends, but I had to, all the people, like I worked in an office at that time, and people talking about dieting and their weight, it was a constant conversation. And I find that that's kind of widespread. I see it a lot, and I really had to take myself out of that conversation. And also my choice to quit dieting when I was quite, very heavy, it freaked people out. They were like, what are you doing? What about your health? If they said anything to me, but you could get that feeling that it was very uncomfortable. And it was uncomfortable for me being in that position, but I tried several times to do it in the past and I couldn't, and I finally thought I've got to stick with this. And it took a while for things to shift and for me to find my healthy eating style, but it really was, I had to make that effort to not join into the conversations, not make the comments about myself that everybody else was making about, and the things we think about ourselves and say oftentimes when we're unhappy with ourselves, we'd never say it to somebody else.
Right.
I mean, I can't imagine like saying to somebody else, oh my God, you're so fat in those pants, or whatever it is I used to think about myself. So we really got to think, if you wouldn't say that to anybody, even a stranger or your friend, why are you saying it to yourself?
Yeah. Exactly. Catherine, go ahead, Catherine.
Yeah, and Gwen, that's a great point, because it's when you start noticing that you're saying those things to yourself that you can start changing them.
Yes.
If you're still inside that negative thinking, that limited thinking, you can't change it.
I know, you don't even know you're doing it.
No, you don't, because that's your reality. That's the lens you're looking through. And that's why I love meditation, because it does take you out of that circular thinking. It takes you out of that, and you get back to your authentic self, your unconditioned self. And then you do that more and more, and you keep expanding that more and more because of your daily practice. All of a sudden, you'll start noticing, oh, I don't believe that. Why did I think that? And it's just a habit. And to change a habit, you got to do something else just as consistently as when you created that first habit.
Yes.
True.
So that's a great point.
I was actually going to ask you, Catherine, what I was about to ask you about was some different meditation techniques. I know some people like stare at a candle flame, some listen to a sound. What are some different things that you found that people can physically do to start meditating?
Well, let me give you a quick tip that you can do as soon as you feel yourself getting a little stressed out. And this is more mindfulness than meditation. It's more getting back to the present moment. But I don't know if you've heard of David G.
No, I haven't.
He's another Hay House author, of course, Louise Hay's company. And he teaches this technique, and he's taught it to police force, to the military, inside big corporations. And it's something you can do immediately, and no one ever has to know that you're doing it. But it's learning to recognize that, wait a minute, somebody said something, I'm starting to tense up, or I'm starting to feel that pit in my stomach. Whatever your body's reaction is, instead of, immediately going into your conditioned response, what you can do, he calls it 16 seconds. So we can do this right now really quickly. Think of something that just irritated you this morning or yesterday, and you had that kind of flash of irritation. Just hold that in your mind for a minute, and then follow along with me and you don't have to you can have your eyes open. This is a kind of an open meditation. So think of that and feel what it was that irritated you. Okay. So for example, my cat was outside my door, and I was like, ugh, right when we started this. So now follow with me and remember 16 seconds. So what we're going to do is, and I'll just explain the process. We're going to breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold it for 4 seconds. So that's a total of 16 seconds. But I challenge you to hold that irritation, that irritated thought that you came up with just now. I challenge you to keep that at the forefront of your mind as we're doing this. So this is kind of an experiential thing that proves my point that we can change our thoughts. We can come back into the moment. So let's go ahead and try it. Think of that irritating thought, and I'm thinking of my cat. And let's breathe in for 4 seconds as deeply as you can. And then hold it at the top for 4 seconds. And then release for 4 seconds. And then hold it at the bottom for 4 seconds. Okay, so Pete, could you hold that irritating thought while you were doing that for 16 seconds?
I kept having to come back to it.
But you had to force yourself to come back to it.
You did.
Okay. What about you, Gwen?
Same thing. It just, once we started doing the breathing, it it brings you into the moment. It certainly does. And it's just like, oh, I'm breathing, like it feels good. And I was kind of just forgetting about the irritation.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine you're in your day, whatever happens to get you irritated, and you just take 16 seconds. And again, you could be in a meeting, you could be on a phone call, conference call, in traffic. Don't close your eyes. Driving. But you take that 16 seconds and then you respond to whatever it was that irritated you. Mm. You're coming from a much different place than if you had just allowed that irritation to trigger your conditioned response.
Yeah, that's a really powerful technique. I love it.
And David G, he's great. Check him out. It's DAVIDJI.com,
okay.
DavidG.com. And he has so many free meditations. They're all guided. And he has this, very deep voice. He's called the velvet voice of the internet. And his voice, and he's what inspired me to start creating meditations, because I just got so much benefit out of him. So what he does is guided meditations, and he'll give you a mantra, a Sanskrit word or some kind of mantra, and then he'll toward the end of the meditation, there's 5 minutes of total silence. And you just repeat that mantra for that day. And I've been listening to his guided meditations now for years, and they're fabulous. So that's one way, and that's been so helpful for me. And of course, I have my own meditations if you would care to join me with me, and that's you go join my email list. So that's just one example of how we can get back to the present moment, calm our body. The other thing that 16 seconds does, when you're triggered, there's a whole avalanche of physiological things that your body's doing. Because we still have that fight or flight response. And, it was there in the beginning so we could survive the saber-toothed tiger attack. But there's no saber-toothed tigers now. It's all emotional and illusionary attacks that we think we're under. But our body doesn't know that. Our body doesn't change just because it's illusionary or emotional attack. It still thinks we're under attack. So there's and I kind of went back. If you're interested, I can go into this really quickly. Your blood pressure goes up. Your limbic brain starts changing some of the autonomic nervous system responses. Your cell growth stops. Your immune system becomes suppressed. The blood flow to your largest organ, which is your skin, stops. I mean, your body prepares to either fight or flight. And stress can cause that response. And just think about it. And Louise Hay, I think, talked about this. If you have that response in your body over and over again, 10, 15, 20 times a day, is that a healthy way to live? No, of course not. Yeah. And that's dis-ease. You're not at ease with yourself. You're in dis-ease. And that's how all these chronic conditions come up. So again, being able to come back and align yourself with the moment is a great way to deal with stress and to also just kind of, move your way through it and not harm yourself.
So. Let's add to that quickly about stress and the fight or flight response. When people, again, coming back to food, and when people are stressed about their diet or what they're eating, and they're eating under stress, or if they're just eating at their desk at work, and your digestion shuts down as well, I think, during the fight or flight. So
yeah, I should have mentioned that. Yes.
You can't digest food properly. So if you're feeling stressed about what you're eating, or because you're trying to diet and you're eating something you don't think you should be eating, whatever it is, that's just, if you can't digest properly, then you can't assimilate the nutrients you need, and you're going to be looking for something else to eat. So it goes along in that vein as well. And I think that your exercise, the 16 seconds you just did, that would be great for people before you sit down to eat a meal. Take that 16 seconds and calm down. I love that. Thank you.
Exactly. And it gets you, remember, emotions are not real. There's a thought behind the emotion. So if you want to go grab that bag of Oreos because you're upset, if you do 16 seconds before that, I bet you'll make a different decision.
Right.
I would love to hear people do that and tell us if that worked or not. Respond and make a comment to this video when it goes out. Wouldn't that be fascinating to kind of have an informal study to see if this actually works?
Right.
I know you don't want to see me stress eating because it's pretty ugly.
I'm not talking about the video of you stress eating. I'm talking about making different choices to avoid stress eating.
Yeah. But one thing also to think about, and I just keep coming back to the food things, but it's important to get to a place where if you do choose, all right, so if you're going to reach for the bag of cookies or whatever it is, you do the breathing, and for whatever reason, you still eat them. If you're going to choose consciously to eat them, then just enjoy it and let it go, rather than having all that. Because I remember I used to eat stuff that I didn't think I should be eating, and then I would just freak out. I would feel terrible about myself. I'd be saying all these negative things. Why did I do that? And that just adds you can't digest. It just, so if you consciously choose to do it, then just enjoy it and then let it go and get back to your regular routine.
And when you come down off the sugar high, don't beat yourself up.
Yeah. Right. I know. I think they call it in, Buddhist, whatever, don't add the second arrow. Like, if you're doing something you're not happy about, don't beat yourself up on top of it.
Oh, I like that. The second arrow. That's amazing. You think it'd be a good time for me to just read out some of these affirmations for loving your body from Louise Hay?
Yes, please.
I'll kind of read them out and then we'll just take like a moment after each one just to kind of reflect on what that means, okay? The first, and they're pretty simple. The first one's, I love my body. My body loves to be healthy. My heart is the center of love. My blood has life and vitality. Every cell in my body is loved. Ooh, that's a big one. All of my organs work perfectly. I see with love. I hear with compassion. I move easily and comfortably. Ooh, Catherine liked this one. My feet dance through life. I bless my food with love, which Gwen was talking about. Water is my favorite beverage. So I'm sitting here with my unsweet tea. I know how to take care of myself. I am healthier than I've ever been before. I appreciate my glorious body. And I am healthy, healed, and whole. So I love how all this is sort of like calling it forth, because perhaps your actual status right now is you can't move comfortably or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Or maybe you really don't have that idea of you having a glorious body or whatever, or you don't consider yourself healthy. But I love how these are just sort of like calling forth this image, of who you are. Because, for me personally, part of what I do is healing work. And I use the sort of the example of Jesus. When he would heal, he would have this, all he would see would be the fully healed person. He wouldn't recognize their disease. He wouldn't recognize their ailment. All he would see is that their natural state was perfect health. And that's how he would envision them. And then that's what would come forth, if they would believe in it. So I love how it's just sort of, declaring it, you know what I mean?
Well, and the other thing that I noticed as you read those, I'm sure you felt the energy. The energy was just so uplifting and empowering. But what really got me is that she's calling the body as if it's separate from who she is.
Oh.
I don't know if you caught that or not. So I don't know if Louise believed this or not, but I believe our bodies are just tools. They're just instruments. We're not our body. And I'm sure, Gwen, you can speak to that. We are so much more than our body. And so to call forth that healthy, whole image in all those different ways with the body parts is just reaffirming that.
It really is so beautiful. And we really are, no matter what state we're in at the current moment, we're really, we have everything we need. We're okay. We are these divine beings. And this, like you said, I like that wording. The body's just a tool we're using right now, and we can love and take care of it, and no matter what state it's in at the present moment. Because again, if we're pushing against anything, if we have some kind of disease going on or whatever it is, we've got to just embrace where we are in the moment, and then you can move forward. And it's just like you said, those are all such uplifting statements, and I don't think many of us have those uplifting thoughts about ourselves going through our head all day long.
Well, and imagine this, if you took one of those statements, what was it? My cells are full of love, something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but imagine if you meditated on that. If you just sat with that for 5 minutes, closed your eyes, focused on your breath, and just kept telling yourself over and over that my cells are full of love.
Mm.
And then you come out of it. Just imagine that. I mean, how beautiful is that? Or, choose anything. It doesn't matter, but you're filling yourself up. You're realigning everything.
Yeah.
It's that's going to carry forward into your day. So if you start your day like that, how awesome is that?
Right.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
You can be more careful about how you dress, how you eat, how you treat yourself and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just going to reflect out to the world how you treat others.
Yes.
It's all connected. We're all connected.
Right. And I truly believe that you teach the world how to treat you. So if you treat yourself like you're something special, you get treated like something special.
Exactly. That's it.
When you were talking about the body being separate, it really made me think of how it's sort of like this relationship, and how sometimes you have to forgive your body, but sometimes you also have to ask your body forgiveness. Because I know for me that I've always been very lucky. I mean, no matter what I've been through, I never had like high blood pressure. I never had diabetes. I never had, my body's just always been there for me. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's done the very best job it could do, no matter what I ate or what I put it through, or the worry, the anxiety, or the stress, or the pharmaceuticals they used when I was in my big anxiety or depression period, or, you know what I mean? It's always been there for me. It's always just kept right on chugging. Everything works and I can still move around, It's just amazing. I'm about to be 54, and it's just, I feel like I'm in the best health I've ever been in my entire life, or best shape. And I definitely think it's a relationship that is there, whether it's a good relationship or not,
Well, and feeling grateful for that relationship just adds more to it. Feeling grateful for what your body has done for you. It works without you having to tell it anything.
Yes. Yeah.
And gratitude is also such a big part of this.
Right.
Which I know, and Louise talked about that so much. And I love, Pete, what you were saying. Like, my body's always been there for me. And I've been the same. I've had, not too many health issues, just, created stomach issues from all of my crazy dieting. And, but it's, no matter where you are, like, there's always things that you can be grateful for. Even when I was at my heaviest, I could still get out and walk, and do a little bit of exercise, and I could still, make a choice to eat something healthy. There's always something that you can find to be grateful for and to focus on, rather than to focus on the things that you're not so pleased with at the moment.
Yeah, and I think it's also important too, if you are deciding to start a new eating program, I don't like to say dieting, or a new exercise program, to realize that there is going to be, what would you say, Gwen, at least a month or at least a couple weeks of uncomfortableness, like when you first start moving or exercising or like that, give yourself
your body's not used to it.
Yeah, give yourself allowance. You're going to have a couple weeks of being uncomfortable.
Right, and it's okay. And it's just, to me, that's kind of, when I haven't been exercising a lot and I get back to it, or, yoga, whatever it is, it's kind of like, okay, I'm sore, but it feels good because it's like, I know I'm moving into a direction, instead of trying to force myself to do something that I don't really want to be doing, and then you get sore and you just don't want to do it anymore.
Because then you have those people that want to just go full hog. They want to, they want to do the P90X the first day or whatever.
Right.
Go out and be the Ninja Warrior tomorrow. Any movement is good movement, and it's a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. So
yes,
maybe that one step is a walk around the block.
Right. And I think what you were talking about too, like the whole New Year's resolution thing, and often for people that revolves around food in their bodies and getting into shape, and it's to me, it seems like this forced thing, like all of a sudden it's a new year, so I better do it now, and all the shoulds of I should have been doing this all last year and I didn't. It's, just ease into it, shift into it, instead of piling all that, like Catherine was talking about, expectation on yourself, and like I'm going to get in shape overnight. Just do it in a more fun and loving way towards yourself. And for me, a big thing was shifting my focus from weight loss to health, because I started feeling really lousy, just tired. And, like I said, I had stomach problems, so I wasn't digesting right and I wasn't getting nutrients in. And finally I thought, it's not about my weight, it's that I don't want to feel like this anymore. And that really shifted things.
Your body will tell you when it's happy with what you've eaten.
Exactly.
Yes.
Your body will tell you.
And that's what I was going to ask both of you. Don't you believe that your body knows what its healthy state is?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so that's really what you're trying to get to. It's not a diet, it's not willpower, it's listening to your body and getting to that point where it's healthy, it feels healthy, and whatever that weight is for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Not the standards of the world or, models on magazines, which are photoshopped anyway. Those aren't even real.
Right.
Yeah,
I saw a video of that. It was funny, where they'd taken 4 men and tried to Photoshop them like they did women. It was hilarious, but
yeah, and then I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Wonder Woman.
Mm-mm.
Have you seen it? Okay, it's great. Go see it.
Okay.
But there were critics who said, "Oh, the main actress, I forgot her name, but she should have been curvier." And she's like, "This is my body. This is how I was made." So there's don't listen to the external standards.
Right.
Yes. Because like he was saying earlier, no matter where you are, there's going to be someone out there that could criticize you for it. And also we sometimes criticize, I remember back in my dieting days, even when I get to my thinnest point, I would still find something wrong with myself. So it's, yeah.
Well, and what makes you happy? Where are you happy?
Yes.
What do you want to look like? Again, it goes back to who are you, and are you really shining your own presence, your own authenticity?
Yes.
And then it doesn't matter who cares what somebody else says. They're not happy.
Right.
Not my problem. My goal is to be happy and healthy and whole.
Yeah, and give yourself a darn break. I know for me, like I actually pay a trainer to give me a set of things to do, but there are some times when I will be halfway through and I'm just like, I'm done tonight, but part of my brain is like, no, you got to finish, but my body is saying we're kind of over, and it's about listening to those things. And I don't know if you've done this, Gwen, but I know that for me, I try never to tell myself no. I just try substitution or application, I guess I would call it. Like if I really need to have chocolate, I have to have an orange with it or something like that. Like I don't tell myself no.
I like that.
I don't fill up my whole stomach with chocolate like I used to. You know what I mean?
And I think also when you're not telling yourself no, and you're not denying yourself anything, it takes away that charge that you don't feel like you have to eat a whole pound of chocolate or whatever it is because you feel like you shouldn't be eating it.
Right, because that 4-year-old kicks up, is like, yes, I will have that chocolate.
Yeah, and I'm going to eat all of it.
I want it now.
But really, when you take that charge away, when you let yourself eat, it's just like, oh, now I don't have to be so crazy. When you're not going in between dieting and off dieting. When you're off the diet, then I'm just going to eat everything like
And maybe a little chocolate would actually be good for your body.
Yes.
Not tons of it, a little bit, so maybe it actually is a natural craving. Because I think you can start to decipher between what your body is telling you want and what your mind, or your 4-year-old is wanting to, feed yourself with. You can really tell the difference.
I think also too, for me, when I was dieting, I used to eat a lot of processed diet foods because I could monitor what I was counting, calories or points, whatever it was. But having all that stuff in my system that wasn't real whole foods, I would have cravings all the time. I couldn't really listen to what my body wanted to eat because it was all filled with not real food. So I think it's great to kind of clear all that stuff out, and then you can really listen to what your body wants. Yeah. And you can always make you can have chocolate that's, good quality chocolate. You can make choices in between, if you want something sweet, you can have something that's maybe a little on the healthier side than,
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago, I went on sort of like a little bit of a mini fast. I mean, I didn't fast for the whole day, but I fasted until like about 6 o'clock at night. It was the most wonderful thing, just kind of like
Really
clearing and reset.
Clears you up.
You know what I mean? So, because I just got to the point of where I was like, I ate breakfast, and I ate lunch, and then I ate dinner, and then I had a snack, and there was just like this constant, like, oh no, I'm supposed to eat. You know what I mean? It wasn't even about my body wanting anything. It was like this little rhythm, and I could tell I was totally out of whack. So, kind of stepping out of that has really helped me. I don't know.
I like that. Yeah. It's just, kind of, if you don't feel like you're in alignment, like how you're eating, it is nice to take a step back and just, kind of let your digestion settle down a little bit. That's why I love juicing, because it kind of just gets into your body without much digestion. So, you can kind of give your system a break. And then for me, I can, start listening to what my body's really looking for again.
Now, do you do your own juicing, or do you like the juices that they have prepared at the store? Or?
Lately, I will be honest, we have a great juice place in my town that does, fresh pressed all vegetable juices. So I have been buying a little bit more than I used to, but for a long period of time, for several years, I made my own juice, and I did a lot of juicing. And it's really something, and again, a lot of people just can't get on board with it because, it is some work. You've got to buy the produce, you've got to make it. But I got into a real rhythm with it, and to have my own fresh juice, it was very healing for my body.
Wonderful.
It's just for me.
Well, Gwen, you want to tell people how to contact you?
Oh, sure. Thank you. You can come on by my website and blog. It's called Your Inner Joy, yourinnerjoy.com. I'd love to have you get on my mailing list. I do have a blog. I write a lot about what we're talking about today, and just kind of how everyday events can lead to transformation when we pay attention to what's going on. And I do have my book. If you want to pick up a copy, it's called The Joy of Eating, The Anti-Diet Solution for Weight Loss and Health. And you can get that on Amazon. And you also see it on my website. So I'd love to have people come on by.
I love that. What about you, Catherine?
Come by CatherineErickson.com, and you can see how my name is spelled on the screen. And join the email list, because there's a short 3-step video course, heart dancing. And you'll get that in the first 3 emails. And then after that, I've got, meditations and blog articles. And it's just, to continue that whole process. And also, I'm not sure when this is going to air, but I've got a free online class called Master the Mind that's going to air on September 12th. So a week from today at 8 o'clock. And you can find the information about that by going to CatherineErickson.com/master-your-mind. So join me. It's free. It's
Nice.
really fun. And so I just want people to get to the point where they can dance with themselves. They accept themselves, they love themselves, and they allow all that joy and love that's really them to come out, to be them, and to live their life. So thank you, Pete, for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. I always love to have you on the show, Catherine. Absolutely. And for me, I'm still trying to kind of figure out who I am or what I am, but I guess if you want to, you can check me out, The Angel Encourager on Facebook for right now. I'm still trying to, we were talking about earlier, defining, what kind of special butterfly are we or whatever. So, well, this has been Positive Vibe with Project Positive Change. We're all visionaries with Project Positive Change. We invite you to ask questions about maybe how you can join the group if you'd like to be a visionary as well. We appreciate everybody listening, and I'm going to have in the show notes the different contacts for each of us. Encourage everybody to contact us and see if you can do some further work. Until later, I guess we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, thanks. Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.